Hi everybody, and welcome to Garden Style. So here I am again to talk about 3 or 4 different types of shrubs for different areas in the yard. It's probably been a few weeks since I've been in touch with you last. The hair's a little shorter. Finally got a haircut yesterday after about 3.5 months, and boy does it feel good. And that just reminds me to remind you folks that your shrubs will also benefit from a little haircut, especially at this time of the year. So if you have a lot of early blooming shrubs that are all done with their blooms for the year, it is perfectly okay to go in and give them a haircut. They'll very much appreciate it, and it'll give you that many more blooms for the following year. I have a little visitor over here. Hey, you! You can't see her yet. She's behind the shrubs, hiding over here. Where are you? Yeah, she's just passing through. It's Chloe, my cat. So anyway, I will introduce you to some different types of shrubs that you probably either haven't seen before. There's one of them here that a lot of folks have asked me about from previous videos. I'll do a video in front of it, and then everyone's asking me what that is that's sitting behind me. So stay tuned, and let's talk shrubs today. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about today, I can lift him up here so you can kind of get an idea for his size. He's probably in about a 3-gallon can down here. And this is a St. John's wort. Now a lot of folks are familiar with the St. John's wort that grows as a ground cover, but they also come as shrubs, and they are beautiful. They're absolutely stunning when they start to get their yellow blooms on them. But then once those blooms start to fade away, they get replaced with these beautiful coral berries, and those will last through the fall. Now there are 3-4 different types of Hypericum or St. John's wort, and they come in different berry colors. You can get them from deep red to almost like a pale white to like a salmon color, like what you see here. So they're doing something interesting year-round. And another neat thing about this particular shrub is in the fall, its leaves also get tinged as well. So they get some color to them before they start to drop, as this is a deciduous shrub. So I'll give you a little scientific information here on this particular one. And this one is Floral Berry Rosé, St. John's wort. And it is a Hypericum Inodorum Kolpinot, and I will definitely put that in the description box down below so that you guys know how it's spelled. But anyway, it can take up to 6 hours of sun. It's saying here it recommends sun to part sun. Love it when the tags say that, don't you? When they say sun to part sun, it's like, what exactly does that mean? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, sun to part sun will land you right in the middle, right around 5 hours of sun. If you see to it that it's getting at least that, then your plant should be successful. I've had all kinds of customers in the nursery asking me, so what exactly is sun to part sun? It just sounds like it kind of covers a whole gamut. I'm like, well, just pick it in the scale between 1 and 10, and if you land at 5 hours and thereabouts, you're on the safe side, and your plants will appreciate it too. And this one does require a little more sun just so it can bloom and produce as many berries as possible. So the sun just helps encourage it to do that. However, you want to keep it watered. It likes more moist conditions. You do not want to let it dry out. So when you go to plant them, make sure to put a lot of compost in with them and just babysit them for their first year, and they'll reward you with just beautiful blooms and lots of berries during the fall. Okay, so it's one particular special feature, and being I have a florist shop in the nursery, is a lot of florists use these stems in floral arrangement. So what a cool thing to have during the fall, going into the winter time, is something with berries on it that you can mix in with all your floral arrangements. So that's a neat feature. It also has extended bloom, because it does its bloom thing, and then of course it does its berry thing. So that extends the season of interest on this particular shrub. It is deer resistant, rabbit resistant, and super easy to take care of once it gets established. Now I just want to reiterate, when I say deer resistant on plants, it doesn't mean it's deer proof. Okay? If deer are hungry enough, they will eat anything. But in this particular case, they may just decide to stroll right on by and pick on something else rather than eating this particular shrub, which is what they mean by deer resistant. So anyway, St. John's wort. And there's several different varieties, and I have another favorite of mine which I hope to introduce you to in the fall, because that's usually when we see them come available from the growers. And its leaf is like a deep maroon and turns almost like a pinkish maroon during the fall. It's beautiful. And I can't wait to show that to you, and it's got gorgeous red berries on it. So hopefully I can introduce that to you during the fall when I see more of them have come available. But this is what we've received in so far at the nursery, and we're thrilled. And we no sooner got them in and they were starting to sell 2 hours later, the moment we got them off the truck, because they're so different. So anyway, that's that one. And then, it's a little breezy out here, so I'm hoping things don't fall over. So I'm kind of on a slope. Then I'm going to introduce you to this guy. Now, a lot of you are probably well aware that of dogwood trees, but there's lots of different varieties of dogwood shrubs, and this just happens to be one of them. And this is like a mint green variegated dogwood shrub. Now, the cool thing with dogwoods is they don't mind wet feet. They don't mind wet areas. So you happen to have an area that just seems to be damp all the time. This is a perfect shrub for that. They're also fantastic for erosion control. And this one, Creme de Mint dogwood, right here, will get about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. And of course, it gets showy flowers in the early spring. Great for erosion control. It's rabbit resistant. And the most cool thing about these shrubs is when it drops all its leaves in the wintertime, it leaves behind these chartreuse green stems, which are outstanding in the garden during the wintertime. So this is a shrub that gives you year-round interest, despite the fact that it drops its leaves. And they're absolutely beautiful. Now, your dogwood shrubs can withstand more shade than, say, some of the other shrubs I'm getting ready to show you here, and still look beautiful. However, the more sunlight they get, tricky, it's that part sun, full sun thing, the more yellow or chartreuse your stems will be during the wintertime, if that makes any sense. So, again, we'll use the scale from 1 to 10. You get at least 5 hours of sun for this particular shrub, preferably afternoon shade is probably the trick to this particular shrub, and you'll have these beautiful bright chartreuse stems during the wintertime. And this is just one of many varieties. Again, as we get into the fall, I'm going to introduce you to red twig dogwoods, coral twigs, some that are almost like a white color. There are so many different varieties and hybrids out now, it's impossible to try and cover them all in one video. So I just wanted to introduce you to the variegated version. So of course, if you have a darker area in a part sun, part shade garden, this is a great shrub to put in there, and they stay nice and compact, and they're just super easy to take care of. And I did not cover the hardiness zone on the St. John's wort, so I will jump back to that here in just a second. It's like, okay, kind of out of the routine on things. But this particular shrub is very hardy, from zones 3 to 8. So it can withstand extremely cold temperatures down to -40. So you want a nice hardy shrub and you live in the northern areas of the United States, this is your shrub right here. And they're beautiful. Let's see. They're great for cutting, so all these leaves look fantastic in a floral arrangement. And the best way to make a big statement with these is to plant them in mass. So rather than just one, plant 2 or 3. I always tell folks as a general rule, 3 to 5 to 7 is always a good rule. Stay in the odd numbers, and it just looks better to the eye when you're looking out at the garden. So plant several if you have an area that's big enough for them. And of course, they're fantastic in woodland gardens and any place that happens to be more damp than other areas. They don't mind it a bit. So anyway, that is a Cornus alba Crimizam. And again, I will put the name in the description box down below so that all of us know how to spell this thing. So real pretty shrub there. Okay. Now another one here is absolutely gorgeous. And this is a Fatsia Japonica, and the particular name of this one is called camouflage. So it's real pretty. It's got the white on the centers of the leaves and then the darker green margins on the outside. And what I love about this shrub more than anything is you can plant it in the shade. This is a shade plant. It absolutely loves it. If you need a plant that's good for a screen, say you don't want to see your neighbors next door, or you're trying to cover up an ugly fence, whatever use you may have for it, this is your plant right here. I'll be flashing a picture of a monster that I have sitting on the back of my house, and I absolutely love it. And it's evergreen, so it's going to keep its leaves year-round, which is fantastic. And I just love the shapes of them here. It looks almost tropical. It is so pretty. And let me give you some information on this one. They call it a variegated Japanese Aurelia. It's a Fatsia Japonica variegata is the last name. And it likes part sun. It can take up to 6 hours of sunlight, but I would make sure that that's in the early part of the day, like early in the morning. But it can also take less than 3 hours of sunlight. And actually, I think that's where mine's happiest, is it's getting maybe 3 hours of sun during the day, and it's just thriving. Let's see. It'll reach 5 to 8 feet tall and wide if you let it. These are easy to keep trimmed. It does get blooms on it in the late winter, followed by showy seed clusters, which eventually might turn to berries. Depends on the age, is when I've seen them actually do that. I think they have to wait until they're about 2, maybe 3 years old, and then you'll start to see them starting to form little berries on them. Nothing real significant, but it's fun nonetheless. And these are hardied from zones 7 to 10, so they can take an average minimum temperature of about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. And even if it gets that low, I would still mulch the root base during the winter time, and it could very well die back, but that root could be very much alive and come back the following year. I've seen them survive a really harsh winter here and still come back, bounce back, just more beautiful than ever the following year. So don't be afraid to plant them in a protected spot if you live in a colder area. Alright, what else can I tell you? It, of course, has year-round interest. It's pet-friendly, so it's not poisonous. Little tiny, little ornamental berries are on it, and super easy to take care of. These are great in a woodland garden as a privacy screen, and they're fantastic in containers. I actually have a slightly different variety called spiderweb, which I'll flash a picture of in the corner down below so you can see what the leaves look like on that. And I have him in a container, and he's absolutely loving life. He's sitting on my porch where there's no light whatsoever during the day, and he's just loving it. So anyway, what a cool little plant to add like a little tropical flair to your garden, and they're just beautiful. And this is a baby compared to what they can get like. They can get pretty tall. Alright, so I'm going to bring you to our last shrub right here. And a lot of you have asked me about this in previous videos, as I've shot videos in front of it before on the other side of my yard. And this is a dappled willow. Flamingo is the common name for it. And its new growth right here comes out in a pink, which is really pretty. So you've got these light variegated leaves with this new pink growth, and they're just outstanding. These are excellent as a hedge, as they do get fairly tall. They can get about 6 to 8 feet tall if you let them. But I encourage you folks to trim them probably about late spring to early summer, and that keeps them compact, and it just keeps this new growth coming throughout the year, so that they look like they're always in bloom, when in fact they're not. But the new pink growth just makes up for the fact that it doesn't have blooms. It's just absolutely beautiful. So this is another fantastic shrub for areas that are damp or wet. In fact, most of your willows like it having wet feet. So keep that in mind if you have some real wet areas in your yard, and that is something we're famous for here in the Northwest. We've got lots of wet areas in our yards, so any types of willows do really well. I will tell you, if you're going to buy a willow tree, to keep it as far away from your plumbing and your septic systems as you possibly can, as the tree versions have very aggressive roots. So I'm always sure to remind people of that you keep it as far away from your plumbing as you possibly can. Sprinkler systems, that kind of thing, as their roots run pretty rampant. That's just how willows are, which is why you see a lot of them on the edges of lakes and streams and things. So anyway, this guy is hardy from zones 4 to 10, which is an average minimum temperature of 30 degrees. It will get up to 8 feet tall and makes a fantastic border or a hedge specimen. great for really wet areas, and of course has a woodland garden effect to it, and extremely colorful foliage. Again, you can cut these and put them in flower arrangements. I've done that a lot. And they last a long time in a vase of water. They don't rot right away. That's just how willows are. That's how they're built. But anyway, so there's some shrubs for you, and that kind of gives you an idea of what you've been seeing in some of my videos that are sitting behind me. And I honestly don't think I have covered this shrub before, so if I have, okay. If not, here we go again. So I cover some more areas for that. All right, you guys, so hope you're all having a fantastic summer and seeing lots of success in your own gardens. We are still working on our online store, and one thing I would love to hear from you guys is what you would like to see in the online store. Are there certain things that you're looking for that you cannot find, whether it comes to plants or seeds or garden tools, anything having to do with gardening? I would love to hear your feedback on that, and that helps us form our online store so that it better serves you. So it's still working on the background on it, and I'll definitely let you know when it's available. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, you can ask them in the description box down below, and I will do my best to get back to you and answer them as promptly as I can. You can also go to our website at sunnycrestnursery.com. You're more than welcome to sign up for our emails. And of course, that's where our online store will be located here in the near future, hopefully. And next week, I'm finally going to take some R&R and head down to the coast of Oregon. So I hope all you guys are able to get out, do a little traveling, do a little sightseeing despite all this COVID stuff, and enjoy your summer as well as your own gardens. Meanwhile, have a good summer, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.